She was barefoot on asphalt, dress torn and tangled with October leaves, standing between a Mafia boss and his next destination. 7 years old and trembling, yet her voice cut through the convoy's rumble like a blade through silk. They took my mama. In that moment, Dante Moretti, a man who'd built empires on the bones of mercy, saw his own childhood reflected in her desperate eyes. He should have driven past. He should have let the world continue being what it was, cruel, indifferent, survivable only through carefully maintained distance. But when she whispered about the men with snake tattoos, something ancient and buried cracked open inside his chest. He'd spent 29 years running from the memory of his own mother being dragged into darkness while he stood frozen and powerless. This time, he wouldn't stand still. If you've been hooked up to this moment, please, I would need your help as I have a goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers within a few days. Consider subscribing and let us know where you are watching from. Your support helps us breathe life into stories that were never meant to stay silent. Thank you for being part of this journey. Now, let's dive back into the story. Tuesday started ordinary, which should have been Dante's first warning. In his world, ordinary meant dangerous. It meant you'd gotten comfortable, and comfortable men ended up in early graves with surprised expressions frozen on their faces. His convoy rolled through the forest road outside Portland, 3 black Mercedes moving in practiced formation. Dante sat in the middle car, reviewing shipping manifests that were really coded reports about territory disputes. The Russians were getting bold again. Volkov's crew had been pushing into his distribution networks, testing boundaries like predators probing for weakness. Boss. His driver, Tommy, slowed the vehicle. We got a situation. Dante looked up. A child stood in the middle of the road. Not just standing, planted. Feet bare and dirty against the asphalt, autumn dress hanging off thin shoulders, wild dark curls catching the filtered sunlight. She couldn't have been more than 7, but she stood with the determination of someone 3 times her age. Tommy's hand drifted toward his shoulder holster. Want me to? No. Dante's voice carried the weight that made men twice his size flinch. Stop the car. The convoy halted. In the silence that followed, Dante could hear his own heartbeat, uncomfortably loud. He hadn't been this close to a child in years. Avoided them deliberately. They reminded him of things he'd rather forget, birthday cakes he'd never had, bedtime stories never read, a mother's lullaby cut short by violence. He stepped out of the Mercedes, buttoning his suit jacket with practiced precision. His security detail tensed, but he waved them back with one hand. The October breeze carried the scent of pine and distant rain. The girl watched him approach, her small chest heaving with exertion or fear or both. You're blocking my road, Dante said, keeping his voice neutral. Please. The word came out cracked, desperate. They took my mama. Up close, he could see the tear tracks cutting through dirt on her brown cheeks, the way her small hands trembled at her sides. She'd been running, the scrapes on her knees and the leaves tangled in her hair told that story clearly enough. But she'd stopped running when she saw his convoy. She'd chosen to stand in front of 3 cars full of armed men and beg for help. Stupid. Brave. Heartbreaking. Who took her? Dante asked, though something in his gut already knew the answer. Bad men. Sofia's voice dropped to a whisper, as if saying it too loud would summon them back. They had a tattoo. A snake. Here. She touched her own neck. Every muscle in Dante's body went rigid. Volkov's signature. The Russian bastard marked all his soldiers with that serpent design, wore it like a badge of honor. They'd been escalating for months, hijacking shipments, intimidating his lower-level operators, spraying their territory markers over his. But this? Kidnapping civilians? This was a declaration of war wrapped in cruelty. Tommy appeared at his elbow. Boss, we don't have time for. Get her in the car. Dante's voice could have cut glass. Sir? You heard me. Dante looked down at the girl, saw himself at 8 years old, watching his mother disappear into the back of a black van while he stood paralyzed on the sidewalk. He'd been useless then. Powerless. He'd built an entire empire to never feel that way again. The girl, Sofia, he'd learn her name later, looked up at him with those two old eyes. "You'll help?" "I'll help." The words came out rougher than he intended. "But you need to tell me everything. Where they took her. How long ago. What you saw." Sofia nodded, suddenly docile now that someone had agreed to listen. She let Tommy guide her to the car, climbing into the back seat like she'd done this before, like she understood the language of violence and escape better than any 7-year-old should. Dante slid in beside her, and the convoy started moving again. Different destinations now. "Start from the beginning," he said. "What would you risk to save a stranger? Drop your thoughts below." Chapter 2, The Witness. Sofia's story tumbled out in fragments, the way trauma always did, non-linear, vivid in strange places, blank in others. Her mother worked nights at Rosie's Cafe, the 24-hour diner on the east side where dock workers and insomniacs congregated over burnt coffee and yesterday's pie. Elena Russo. Single mother. "I am 28 years old." Sofia described her with the fierce pride of a child who'd learned early that her mother was both a hero and entire world. "Mama lets me stay in the back room when she works," Sofia explained, small hands twisting the torn fabric of her dress. "There's a cot. I do my homework there. She brings me hot chocolate at midnight." Dante listened, his jaw tight. A 7-year-old doing homework in a diner's back room at midnight because her mother couldn't afford childcare. The inequality of it scraped against something raw in his chest. He'd built his fortune on the backs of that same inequality, profited from the desperation that forced women like Elena into night shifts at dingy cafes. "Last night was different," Sofia continued. "Mama told me to stay quiet. Real quiet. She locked the back room door." "Why?" "Men came in. Not the regular customers. Mama recognized one of them from somewhere bad. I heard her gasp through the door." Sofia's voice dropped. "Then I heard them talking. About a shipment. About money. About someone named Volkov making examples." Dante's blood went cold. Elena had witnessed a transaction. Probably one of Volkov's money handoffs to a corrupt Port Authority official. The Russians had been buying access to the shipping docks for months, trying to establish their own import channels. And Elena Russo had the misfortune of having a good memory and a recognizable face. "They took her this morning," Sofia said. "Came to our apartment before sunrise. I hid in the closet like Mama taught me. Watched through the slats. They hit her." Her voice cracked. "She didn't cry. She just kept looking at the closet, like she was making sure I stayed hidden." "How did you find me?" Dante asked quietly. Sofia pulled something from her pocket, a crumpled business card, edges soft with handling. Dante recognized it immediately. One of his security consultants had given it to Elena months ago, back when she'd reported harassment from a customer. His organization handled certain community protection services, kept an eye on the neighborhood businesses. Good PR, good insurance. Elena had kept the card. "Mama made me memorize the address," Sofia said. "She said if anything ever happened, if bad men ever came, I should find this place. Find the man who helps people the Russians are scared of." She looked up at Dante with heartbreaking trust. "That's you, right? You're the one they're scared of?" Dante should have corrected her. Should have explained that he wasn't a hero, that men like him didn't help people out of goodness but out of strategic advantage. That saving her mother would be about sending a message to Volkov, not about mercy. But when he looked at Sofia, dirt-streaked and barefoot and still so damn brave, he found himself nodding. "Yeah, kid. That's me." Tommy caught his eye in the rearview mirror, expression carefully neutral. They both knew what this meant. Helping Elena Russo wasn't just a rescue operation. It was choosing a side in a conflict that had been simmering for months. It was telling Volkov that civilian targets were off limits, that there were still rules in this game. It was starting a war. Dante pulled out his phone, already dialing his lieutenant. Get me everything on Volkov's properties within 50 miles. Warehouses, safe houses, everything. Then assemble a team. Full tactical gear. How many? All of them. He ended the call and looked at Sofia. Your mother. What does she look like? Sofia's face transformed, fear giving way to love. She's beautiful. She has brown skin like mine and really pretty eyes. She smiles even when she's tired. She's strong. A pause. She's everything. Dante's throat tightened unexpectedly. We'll find her. Promise? He should have known better than to make promises. In his world, promises were just pretty lies you told before disappointing someone. But Sofia was looking at him like he'd hung the moon, like he was someone worth believing in. I promise, Dante said, and meant it. The warehouse squatted on the edge of the industrial district like a metal tumor, all rusted corrugation and shattered windows. Dante counted 4 guards outside, which meant at least 6 inside. Sloppy. Volkov was getting cocky, relying on his reputation instead of proper security protocols. That cockiness was about to cost him. Dante had left Sofia with his housekeeper, Mrs. Chen, back at his penthouse. The girl had protested, wanted to come, wanted to see her mother freed, but Dante had been firm. Whatever happened in the next hour, no child needed to witness it. Now he stood in the shadows with 8 of his best men, watching the warehouse through tactical binoculars. Tommy crouched beside him, checking his weapon with practiced efficiency. Thermal imaging shows 1 heat signature, 2nd floor, northwest corner, Tommy reported. Tied to a chair. Alone. Alone. They'd left Elena Russo alone, probably assuming fear and isolation would break her faster than violence. Dante had seen it before, the psychological torture of abandonment, of not knowing if rescue would ever come. 2 teams, Dante said quietly. Tommy, take 4 and go in through the east entrance. Make noise. I want their attention on you. And you? I'm going in the back. Dante checked his own weapon, the Beretta 92 FS he'd carried for 15 years. When you hear me upstairs, move fast. Tommy nodded, no questions asked. They'd worked together long enough that trust was automatic, unspoken. The assault lasted 4 minutes. Dante moved through the warehouse like smoke, footsteps silent on concrete. He heard Tommy's team engage the guards outside, shouts, then gunfire, then the heavy silence of bodies hitting ground. The guards inside rushed toward the noise, exactly as planned, leaving the stairs undefended. Stupid. Predictable. Dead. Dante took the stairs 2 at a time, Beretta raised. 2nd floor, northwest corner. The door was chained but not locked. He shot the chain off, kicked the door open, weapon trained on the darkness beyond. And there she was. Elena Russo sat tied to a metal chair in a pool of lamplight, blood crusted at her temple, bruises blooming across her brown skin like dark flowers. But her spine was straight. Her chin was up. And when she looked at Dante, really looked at him, no fear in those dark eyes, only assessment and something that might have been amusement, he felt something shift in his chest. Took you long enough, she said. The words hit him like a physical blow. Not thank God or help me or any of the desperate gratitude he'd expected. Just dry observation, delivered with the tone of someone commenting on a late bus. Dante found himself fighting a smile, which was absurd given the circumstances. You're welcome, he replied, moving forward to cut her restraints. I didn't say thank you yet. But her voice softened as she added, thank you for bringing Sofia somewhere safe. That matters more than this. She gestured vaguely at her bruises, the chains, the entire kidnapping situation. Dante cut through the ropes binding her wrists, and Elena winced as circulation returned to her hands. When she tried to stand, her legs buckled. His hands shot out instinctively, catching her waist, steadying her. The touch lasted 2 seconds longer than necessary. She noticed. He noticed her. "Can you walk?" he asked, voice rougher than intended. "I can do whatever I need to do." Elena straightened, pulling away from his support with visible effort. Pride and pain warred across her face. "Where's my daughter?" "Safe. At my place. With security." "Your place." Elena's eyebrow arched. "And you are?" "Dante Moretti." Recognition flickered across her face, not fear exactly, but awareness. She knew the name. Everyone in Portland knew the name. But instead of shrinking away, she simply nodded. "The man Volkov's crew is scared of." Sofia made the right call. Footsteps pounded on the stairs below. Tommy's voice called out, "Boss, we're clear. But we've got maybe 10 minutes before the cops or Volkov's reinforcements show up. Then we leave." Dante looked at Elena. "Can you run?" She tested her weight, grimaced, but nodded. "For my daughter? I can fly." They moved through the warehouse like ghosts fleeing daylight. Elena stumbled twice, and twice Dante caught her without thinking, his body responding before his mind could question the instinct. By the time they reached the convoy, sirens wailed in the distance. Tommy held the car door open. Elena slid inside, and Dante followed. As the Mercedes pulled away, leaving the warehouse and its bodies behind, Elena finally allowed herself to slump against the leather seat. "Why did you help me?" she asked quietly. "You don't know me." Dante looked at her, this woman who'd stayed strong through terror, who'd kept her daughter safe even while she was being dragged away, who'd faced her rescue with sarcasm instead of tears. "Your daughter asked me to." "And you always do what 7-year-olds ask?" "No." He held her gaze. "But she reminded me of someone." "And you." He paused, searching for words that wouldn't reveal too much. "You look like someone who's been surviving alone for too long." Elena's expression softened, just slightly. "Take one to know one, Mr. Moretti." The convoy raced through Portland's streets toward safety, toward Sofia, toward something neither of them could name yet but both could feel building in the charged air between them. The warehouse squatted on the edge of the industrial district like a metal tumor, all rusted corrugation and shattered windows. Dante counted 4 guards outside, which meant at least 6 inside. Sloppy. Volkov was getting cocky, relying on his reputation instead of proper security protocols. That cockiness was about to cost him. Dante had left Sofia with his housekeeper, Mrs. Chen, back at his penthouse. The girl had protested, wanted to come, wanted to see her mother freed, but Dante had been firm. Whatever happened in the next hour, no child needed to witness it. Now he stood in the shadows with 8 of his best men, watching the warehouse through tactical binoculars. Tommy crouched beside him, checking his weapon with practiced efficiency. "Thermal imaging shows 1 heat signature, 2nd floor, northwest corner," Tommy reported. "Tied to a chair. Alone. Alone." They'd left Elena Russo alone, probably assuming fear and isolation would break her faster than violence. Dante had seen it before, the psychological torture of abandonment, of not knowing if rescue would ever come. 2 teams, Dante said quietly. "Tommy, take 4 and go in through the east entrance. Make noise. I want their attention on you." "And you?" "I'm going in the back." Dante checked his own weapon, the Beretta 92 FS he'd carried for 15 years. "When you hear me upstairs, move fast." Tommy nodded, no questions asked. They'd worked together long enough that trust was automatic, unspoken. The assault lasted 4 minutes. Dante moved through the warehouse like smoke, footsteps silent on concrete. He heard Tommy's team engage the guards outside, shouts, then gunfire, then the heavy silence of bodies hitting ground. The guards inside rushed toward the noise, exactly as planned, leaving the stairs undefended. Stupid. Predictable. Dead. Dante took the stairs 2 at a time, Beretta raised. Second floor, northwest corner. The door was chained but not locked. He shot the chain off, kicked the door open, weapon trained on the darkness beyond. And there she was. Elena Russo sat tied to a metal chair in a pool of lamplight, blood crusted at her temple, bruises blooming across her brown skin like dark flowers. But her spine was straight. Her chin was up. And when she looked at Dante, really looked at him, no fear in those dark eyes, only assessment and something that might have been amusement, he felt something shift in his chest. "Took you long enough," she said. The words hit him like a physical blow. Not thank God or help me or any of the desperate gratitude he'd expected. Just dry observation, delivered with the tone of someone commenting on a late bus. Dante found himself fighting a smile, which was absurd given the circumstances. "You're welcome," he replied, moving forward to cut her restraints. "I didn't say thank you yet." But her voice softened as she added, "Thank you for bringing Sofia somewhere safe. That matters more than this." She gestured vaguely at her bruises, the chains, the entire kidnapping situation. Dante cut through the ropes binding her wrists, and Elena winced as circulation returned to her hands. When she tried to stand, her legs buckled. His hands shot out instinctively, catching her waist, steadying her. The touch lasted 2 seconds longer than necessary. She noticed. He noticed her. "Can you walk?" he asked, voice rougher than intended. "I can do whatever I need to do." Elena straightened, pulling away from his support with visible effort. Pride and pain warred across her face. "Where's my daughter?" "Safe. At my place. With security." "Your place." Elena's eyebrow arched. "And you are?" "Dante Moretti." Recognition flickered across her face, not fear exactly, but awareness. She knew the name. Everyone in Portland knew the name. But instead of shrinking away, she simply nodded. "The man Volkov's crew is scared of." Sofia made the right call. Footsteps pounded on the stairs below. Tommy's voice called out, "Boss, we're clear. But we've got maybe 10 minutes before the cops or Volkov's reinforcements show up. Then we leave." Dante looked at Elena. "Can you run?" She tested her weight, grimaced, but nodded. "For my daughter? I can fly." They moved through the warehouse like ghosts fleeing daylight. Elena stumbled twice, and twice Dante caught her without thinking, his body responding before his mind could question the instinct. By the time they reached the convoy, sirens wailed in the distance. Tommy held the car door open. Elena slid inside, and Dante followed. As the Mercedes pulled away, leaving the warehouse and its bodies behind, Elena finally allowed herself to slump against the leather seat. "Why did you help me?" she asked quietly. "You don't know me." Dante looked at her, this woman who'd stayed strong through terror, who'd kept her daughter safe even while she was being dragged away, who'd faced her rescue with sarcasm instead of tears. "Your daughter asked me to." "And you always do what 7-year-olds ask?" "No." He held her gaze. "But she reminded me of someone." "And you." He paused, searching for words that wouldn't reveal too much. "You look like someone who's been surviving alone for too long." Elena's expression softened, just slightly. "Take one to know one, Mr. Moretti." The convoy raced through Portland's streets toward safety, toward Sofia, toward something neither of them could name yet but both could feel building in the charged air between them. Dante woke to the smell of coffee and something else, pancakes? He sat up in bed, disoriented. In 15 years of living in this penthouse, no one had ever cooked breakfast here. Mrs. Chen arrived at 9, made his espresso, left prepared meals in the refrigerator. The kitchen was decorative, barely used. Yet someone was cooking. He pulled on a shirt and followed the scent to find Elena at his stove, wielding a spatula with the confidence of a woman who'd spent years in food service. Sofia sat at the kitchen island, swinging her legs, drawing something on a notepad she must have found somewhere. "You're awake," Elena said without turning around. "Good. I couldn't sleep, and I don't like feeling useless. Hope you don't mind." Dante stood frozen in the doorway, struck by how wrong this felt, not wrong as in bad, but wrong as in violating every carefully constructed boundary he'd built around his life. His space was supposed to be sterile. Safe. Empty of complications like single mothers making pancakes in his kitchen while their daughters hummed and drew pictures. "Coffee's fresh," Elena added, flipping a pancake with professional efficiency. "Found the beans in your cupboard. Good taste, by the way. Small batch Ethiopian roast. Didn't peg you for a coffee snob." "I'm not." His voice came out rough. "My assistant orders it." "Well, your assistant has good taste." She slid 3 pancakes onto a plate, handed it to Sofia, then started on another batch. "Are you hungry?" He should say no. Should establish distance, remind her this was temporary, that domesticity had no place in his world. Instead, he heard himself say, "Yeah, thanks." Elena smiled, not the guarded expression from yesterday, but something softer. She looked different this morning. She'd showered, borrowed one of his t-shirts that hung oversized on her frame, pulled her hair into a loose bun. The bruises on her face looked worse in daylight, purple and yellow blooming across brown skin, but her eyes were clear. Strong, Dante thought. This woman was steel wrapped in grace. "Mama makes the best pancakes," Sofia announced through a mouthful of food. She worked at 3 different breakfast places. "Learn all the secrets." "Sofia," Elena warned gently. "Manners." "Sorry." Sofia swallowed, then looked at Dante with bright curiosity. "Do you live here all alone? It's so big. Don't you get lonely?" "Sofia," Elena repeated, more firmly this time. "That's personal." "It's fine." Dante accepted the plate Elena handed him, their fingers brushing briefly. "Yeah, kid. Just me." "That's sad." Sofia's pronouncement hung in the air with the weight of absolute childhood honesty. "Everyone needs people. That's what Mama says. We're pack animals, like wolves. We die alone." "Sofia reads a lot," Elena said apologetically, sliding pancakes onto her own plate and joining them at the island. "Sometimes she sounds like a tiny philosophy professor." "I like it." And surprisingly, Dante meant it. Sofia's bluntness was refreshing after years of people telling him what they thought he wanted to hear. They ate in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Elena said quietly, "We need to talk about what happens next." Dante had been dreading this conversation. "You can't go back to your apartment. Volkov knows where you live." "I know." Elena's jaw tightened. "I can't work at Rosie's anymore either. Can't put them at risk. So I have no home, no job, and a daughter to feed. I'm not asking for charity, Mr. Moretti." "Dante." She paused, something flickering in her eyes. "Dante. I'm not asking for charity. I'll work. I can clean, cook, whatever you need. I pay my debts. You don't owe me anything. That's not how the world works." Elena's voice carried the weight of experience. "Everything costs something. I'd rather know the price up front than be surprised by it later." The implication stung, though he understood it. She'd survived this long by being smart, by knowing that nothing came free, that kindness usually had a price tag attached. "Stay here," Dante said, the words surprising him even as he spoke them. "Both of you. Until we figure out Volkov. You want to work, fine, Mrs. Chin could use help managing this place. But you're not indebted to me, Elena. You're under my protection. There's a difference. Is there? She held his gaze, searching for something. In your world, protection usually means ownership. Not in mine. Dante's voice came out harder than intended. I have rules. I don't touch civilians. I don't use people. And I don't make women feel like they owe me their bodies for basic human decency. Elena studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Okay. Thank you. Are we staying? Sofia's eyes widened with hope. Really staying? For now, baby. Elena smoothed her daughter's hair. Just for now. But when she looked at Dante across the kitchen island, pancakes cooling between them and morning light streaming through expensive windows, something unspoken passed between them, a recognition, maybe, or the beginning of one. Two people who'd survived alone for so long they'd forgotten what it felt like to survive together. Dante's phone buzzed. Tommy's name flashed on the screen, followed by two words that made his blood run cold. Volkov knows. Dante stepped into his office, closing the door behind him before answering. Talk to me. Tommy's voice was tight. Volkov sent a package to your downtown office. Our guys ran it through security. It's clean, no explosives, no biologicals. But boss, you need to see what's inside. I'll be there in 20. Dante ended the call and turned to find Elena standing in the doorway, Sofia safely out of earshot in the living room. That was about Volkov, she said. Not a question. He knows you're here. Elena didn't flinch. Of course he does. Men like him always know. She crossed her arms, leaning against the doorframe. What's he going to do about it? I don't know yet. But I need to go downtown, handle something. I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. Elena's eyebrow arched, that expression he was beginning to recognize as her tell for impending stubbornness. He took me because I witnessed his business. He wants me dead because I'm a liability. You can protect me here or protect me there, but either way, I'm involved. I'd rather see what I'm up against. And Sofia? Mrs. Chen adores her. And you have security here. Elena pushed off the doorframe, moving closer. Stop trying to shield me from reality, Dante. I've lived in it my whole life. I can handle whatever Volkov sent. She was right, which annoyed him. She was also standing close enough that he could smell the soap she'd used, something clean and simple that made his expensive penthouse feel more like a home than it ever had. Fine, he said. But you do exactly what I say. When I say it. Elena's smile was sharp. I'm not one of your soldiers, Mr. Moretti. It's Dante. And if you're coming into my world, you follow my rules. Fair enough. She held out her hand. Partners? Dante looked at her extended hand, calloused palm, slim fingers, the gesture of equality in a world where he rarely encountered equals. He took it, her grip firm and warm. Partners, he agreed, knowing it was a terrible idea. The package sat on Tommy's desk like a coiled snake. A black box, expensive, tied with red ribbon. No card. No return address. Dante opened it with Elena standing beside him, Tommy and 3 other security personnel forming a protective semicircle. Inside, nestled in black tissue paper, was a photograph. Elena's face drained of color. The photo showed Sofia, taken this morning, judging by the clothes. She was visible through Dante's penthouse windows, sitting at the kitchen island, drawing. The angle suggested a long-range lens from a building across the street. Below the photograph, a note in Russian. Dante didn't need to translate, the Cyrillic letters burned themselves into his vision, but Tommy did it anyway, voice flat, you took something of mine. I can take something of yours. Return the witness by midnight, or learn how it feels to lose what matters most. The threat was clear. Volkov had eyes on the penthouse. He could reach Sofia any time he wanted. And he was giving Dante a choice, hand over Elena or risk the girl. He's bluffing, Tommy said. Your security is too tight. He can't actually. He's not bluffing. Elena's voice was eerily calm. Men like Volkov don't bluff. They demonstrate. She looked at Dante, and he saw the exact moment she made her decision. I'll go back. No. Dante, he has a shot at my daughter. I won't. No. His voice could have cut steel. We don't negotiate with threats. We eliminate them. She's my daughter. My choice. And she asked me to save you. Dante grabbed Elena's shoulders, forcing her to look at him. I promised her I'd keep you safe. I don't break promises to children. Elena's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. Then what do we do? He has surveillance on your building. He knows where we sleep. How do we fight someone who can watch us through windows? Dante's mind raced through options, discarding them as quickly as they appeared. Move Elena and Sofia to a different safe house, Volkov would find them. Increase security, didn't matter if the threat came from a sniper rifle 1,000 yards away. Go to war, which he was prepared to do, but wars took time, and they had until midnight. Unless. We set a trap, Dante said slowly, the plan forming as he spoke. He wants you at midnight. Fine. We will give him you. But not the real you. Elena frowned. A decoy? Me, said a voice from the doorway. They turned to find a woman standing there, one of Dante's operatives, Maria Santos. She was roughly Elena's height and build, her skin toned close enough to pass at a distance. He wants a scared witness, Maria continued, stepping into the room. I can give him that. Long enough for you to get his men in position where we want them. It's too dangerous, Elena protested. It's literally my job. Maria's smile was sharp. Besides, I've been wanting to take a shot at Volkov's operation for months. This gives us probable cause. Dante looked between the two women, Elena, terrified but trying to hide it, and Maria, calm with the confidence of someone who'd faced death and survived. We'd need to move fast. Set it up, make it convincing. I can be ready in 2 hours, Maria said. Tommy nodded. I'll coordinate positions. If we do this right, we can sweep up half of Volkov's command structure in one move. Elena grabbed Dante's arm. And if it goes wrong? If they realize it's a trap? Dante covered her hand with his. Then we go to plan B. Which is? I kill Volkov myself. The statement hung in the air, simple and absolute. Elena searched his face, looking for bravado or false confidence. She found neither. You do that? She asked quietly. Start a war over someone you barely know? Dante thought about Sofia's brave face in the middle of the road. About Elena's strength in that warehouse. About pancakes in his kitchen and the strange, terrifying feeling of his empty penthouse becoming something else, something that felt dangerously like home. Yeah, he said. I would. Have you ever had to choose between protecting someone and letting them fight their own battles? Share your thoughts below. The exchange point was a parking garage in Old Town, multi-level concrete tomb, perfect for ambushes from either side. Dante watched from a van 2 blocks away, multiple screens showing feeds from cameras his team had installed an hour ago. Maria looked convincing. She wore Elena's jacket, hairstyled the same way, head down in a posture of defeat. 2 of Dante's men flanked her, playing reluctant escorts delivering the witness as demanded. Elena sat beside Dante, leg bouncing with nervous energy. This feels wrong. It is wrong. That's why it'll work. Dante's eyes never left the screens. He'd left Sofia back at the penthouse with Mrs. Chen and 6 armed guards. The alternative, leaving Elena behind too, had ended in a screaming match she'd won by invoking their partnership. Stubborn woman. Stubborn, beautiful, terrifying woman who'd somehow become essential in less than 48 hours. Movement on level 3, Tommy's voice crackled through comms from his rooftop position. 4 vehicles. Black SUVs. Volkov's typical convoy. How many men? Counting, 12 visible. Could be more inside. 12 to their 8. Dante had faced worse odds, but never with this much at stake. The SUVs parked in a semicircle, headlights pinning Maria in their glare. A figure emerged from the center vehicle, Viktor Volkov himself. 6'4", built like a bear, snake tattoo visible even on the grainy feed. Dante, Elena whispered, gripping his arm. Something's wrong. She was right. Volkov was smiling. It's a trap, Dante said into comms. Abort. Get Maria out. The explosion shattered the night. Level 4 erupted in flames, the blast wave rocking their van 2 blocks away. Dante's screens went white, then black. Through the ringing in his ears, he heard Tommy screaming Maria's name. Stay here. Dante was already moving, grabbing his weapon. Like hell. Elena was right behind him. They ran toward the burning garage, Tommy's team converging from 3 directions. Through smoke and chaos, Dante saw Volkov's convoy speeding away, taillights disappearing into Portland streets. They found Maria on level 2, thrown clear by the blast. Alive, barely. Blood matted her hair, her leg twisted wrong. But breathing. Medic. Tommy applied pressure to her wounds. Boss, hospital. Now. Trap, Maria coughed, blood on her lips. He knew. Wasn't her. Said, check your penthouse. The world stopped. Dante was already running, Elena matching him stride for stride, both racing back to the van. 6 guards at the penthouse. 6 trained professionals. It should be enough. His phone rang. Unknown number. Good evening, Mr. Moretti. Volkov's accented English filled the line. Enjoying the fireworks? They're just the opening act. If you touched that girl. The girl is fine. For now. Volkov's laugh was oil over gravel. Your guards held out almost 10 minutes. Quite impressive training. But here's the thing about protection, it only works if you can be everywhere at once. And you can't. Elena made us sound like a wounded animal. You're at Old Town watching your operative bleed, Volkov continued. I'm at your penthouse with little Sofia. She's drawing pictures at your kitchen island. Very talented child. Dante's vision tunneled. What do you want? The mother. My location. Alone. 1 hour, or Sofia takes a swim in the Willamette River. Where? Forest Grove compound. You know it. Of course Dante knew it, he'd been tracking Volkov's operations for months. Fortified. Heavily guarded. A suicide mission. 1 hour, Mr. Moretti. Don't be late. The line went dead. Tommy was already redirecting toward the highway. Elena sat frozen, face a mask of controlled terror. When she spoke, her voice was steady. I'm going in. We're both going in, Dante corrected. But not alone. He pulled up his phone, started dialing. I'm calling in every favor, every crew that owes me, every ally I have. There's no time. Then we make time. Dante's smile was cold, sharp, inhuman. Volkov thinks he's won because he has your daughter. He's wrong. He's just given me everything I need. What do you mean? I mean he's gathered all his forces in one location to gloat. I think I'll come desperate and sloppy. Dante finished one call, immediately dialing another. He's made the same mistake everyone makes. Which is thinking I became the most feared man in Portland by playing it safe. Dante's voice could have cut steel. Volkov wanted a war. Tonight, he gets one. Have you ever had to choose between protecting someone and letting them fight their own battles? Share your thoughts below. Forest Grove compound rose from darkness like a fortress, 12-foot walls, guard towers, motion sensors. Volkov had built his empire on paranoia. Tonight, it wouldn't be enough. Dante stood on a hill overlooking the compound with 43 men behind him, every crew he'd called, every favor cashed in, every alliance cultivated over 20 years. Tommy coordinated positions through comms, voice steady despite the insanity they were about to attempt. Elena stood beside Dante in oversized body armor. She'd refused to stay behind. Sofia was in there, nothing would keep this woman out. Thermal shows 27 hostiles, Tommy reported. Mostly in the main building. 6 on patrol, 4 in towers, rest inside. And Sofia? Second floor, east wing. Single heat signature, small. Guarded by 2, maybe 3. 3 grown men guarding a 7-year-old. Volkov wasn't taking chances. 3 teams, Dante said into comms. Alpha takes towers and perimeter, creates chaos. Bravo goes through the west entrance, drawing the main force. Charlie, me, Tommy, Elena, 6 others, east service entrance, straight to Sofia. And Volkov? Elena's voice was tight. He's mine. She grabbed his arm. Dante, if something goes wrong, if we don't make it, Sofia knows where my sister lives in Seattle. Promise me you'll get her there. Promise she won't end up in the system. The request hit him like a fist. She was asking him to be Sofia's backup plan, to step into a role he'd never imagined. Father figure. Guardian. Family. I promise, he said. But it won't come to that. How do you know? Dante looked at the impossible odds, at the woman who'd become everything in 3 days. Because I don't lose when it matters. All teams in position, Tommy said. On your mark, boss. Dante took one last look at Elena, memorizing her face, the determination in her eyes, then raised his hand. Go. Hell erupted. Alpha team's fire lit up the night, tracers cutting through darkness. Guard towers exploded. Bravo team breached the west entrance with shaped charges, the blast echoing across the compound. Charlie's team moved like smoke through chaos, slipping through the service entrance. Dante led with Beretta raised, muscle memory guiding him. Behind him, Elena moved with surprising grace. Fear made people quick learners. The first guard at the stairwell, Dante dropped him with 2 shots. Second guard around the corner, Tommy took him out. Second floor, Dante whispered. Stay tight. They climbed in formation. Dante's heart hammered, not from fear, but from awareness that they were minutes from either rescue or catastrophe. The hallway stretched before them. Through the third door, he heard voices. Russian. Bored. Guards who thought themselves safe. They were wrong. Dante counted down silently. On 0, he kicked the door open. The scene imprinted itself in crystalline detail, Sofia curled on a bed, tear-stained but unharmed. 3 guards spinning toward the door, reaching for weapons. The window showing the compound in flames. Dante fired. Tommy fired. The others fired. The guards dropped in 3 seconds of violence. Then silence, broken by Sofia's gasp. Mama? Elena was across the room instantly, scooping Sofia into her arms, both sobbing with relief. Dante turned away, weapon still trained on the door. Charlie team, package secure, Tommy reported. Heading to extraction. Not yet. Dante's voice was ice. Where's Volkov? Boss, we need to move. Where? Main building, 3rd floor. But Dante, smart play is extract now. Take Elena and Sofia to vehicles. I'll catch up. Elena's head snapped up. No. Together. This ends tonight. Dante met her eyes. He took your daughter. Threatened everything. I'm not letting him try again. Then I'm coming. Sofia needs her mother. Dante's voice softened. Not me. Elena's expression crumbled and hardened simultaneously. She knew he was right. Hated it, but knew it. You better come back. Dante crossed to her, cupped her face in blood-stained hands, and kissed her forehead. Brief. Gentle. Everything he wasn't. I promise, he said, and left. The compound burned as he climbed to the 3rd floor. He found Volkov at his office window, watching his empire collapse. You're persistent, Volkov said without turning. I admire that. You threatened a child. I threatened leverage. Volkov turned. In our world, everything is leverage. Not children. That's the line. Volkov laughed bitterly. Lines. We pretend we have them. Makes us feel less monstrous. But we're the same, built empires on blood. We're nothing alike. No? Volkov gestured at the burning compound. You killed 30 of my men over 1 woman and child. How is that different? Dante raised his beretta. Because they'll survive. You won't. Wait. Volkov pulled out a photograph, a little girl, maybe 5, dark hair, bright smile. My daughter. Died 3 years ago. Cancer. I wasn't there when she passed. I was here, building this. He gestured at everything. Missed her last words, counting money. Something twisted in Dante's chest. You think you're different, Volkov continued. Think you can have both, empire and family. But eventually you'll choose. And when you do, you'll become exactly what I am. Alone, waiting for the bullet. You're wrong. Then prove it. Walk away from this life. Take them and disappear. Because if you stay, this moment becomes your forever. Dante thought of Elena's face. Sofia's smile. Pancakes in his kitchen. Coming home to something besides emptiness. Some of us can change, he said, lowering the gun. You come near them again, mercy ends. Clear? Volkov's eyes widened. Clear. Get out of Portland. Out of Oregon. You're done here. Dante walked out, leaving Volkov alive. Outside, Elena and Sofia waited. When Sofia saw him, she ran, crashing into him with absolute trust. You came back, she whispered. Always, Dante said, and meant it. Over Sofia's head, his eyes met Elena's. She was crying, smiling, looking at him like he was someone worth believing in. For the first time in 20 years, Dante Moretti thought maybe he could be. 3 weeks later, Dante stood in his penthouse kitchen watching Elena teach Sofia how to make proper Italian coffee. Morning light caught the gold in Elena's dark skin, made her look almost ethereal as she laughed at Sofia's serious concentration over the espresso machine. His penthouse had transformed. Sofia's drawings covered the refrigerator. Elena's books lined shelves that once held expensive art he'd never looked at. The sterile emptiness he'd cultivated for years had been replaced by life, messy, chaotic, beautiful life. Volkov had disappeared, rumored to be in South America. His organization had collapsed, absorbed by rivals or scattered. The territory disputes had settled. Portland was quiet. Too quiet for a man used to war. You're brooding again, Elena said, appearing with coffee. 3 days now. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Dante. She set down the cup, crossed her arms. They'd moved past formalities weeks ago, into something deeper, though neither had named it yet. I know what nothing looks like on you. This isn't it. He turned to face her fully. 3 weeks of living together had made Elena's presence feel inevitable, necessary, like breathing. He knew how she took her coffee, knew she hummed when she cooked, knew she checked on Sofia 3 times every night despite the guards and cameras. He knew he was in love with her, which was possibly the most dangerous realization of his life. I'm getting out, he said. Elena blinked. Out of what? The business. All of it. Dante gestured at the penthouse, the city, the empire. I've been making arrangements. Transferring assets, setting up legitimate fronts. My lieutenants can run the legal operations. The rest, I'm dismantling. Why? Because Volkov was right. The admission tasted bitter. I can't have both. Can't be what I was and build something real with. He stopped. With us? Elena finished softly. Yeah, with you. With Sofia. Dante ran his hand through his hair. I know 3 weeks isn't enough time to make life-changing decisions. But I don't want to be the guy who chooses money over what matters. Not this time. Elena was quiet, searching his face. And if I said you don't have to choose? That I understand your world, accept it? You shouldn't have to. Sofia shouldn't grow up around men like me. Men like you. Elena's laugh was soft. You mean men who rescue strangers? Who burns down buildings to save children? Who keeps promises even when it costs everything? I've done terrible things, Elena. Before you. Things that don't wash away. I know. She took his scarred hands in hers. You think I don't see who you were? I worked in a diner in your territory. I've heard the stories. I know what Dante Moretti means on the streets. And that doesn't scare you? It terrifies me, she admitted. But you know what scares me more? You walking away from everything because you think you're not good enough for us. Because you think redemption requires self-destruction. Dante's throat tightened. What are you saying? Change doesn't mean erasure. You can evolve without disappearing. Elena's grip intensified. Get out of dirty work, yes. Build something legitimate, absolutely. But don't do it because you think you have to become someone else for me to love you. The words hung between them, crystalline and terrifying. Love? Dante's voice came out rough. Elena's smile was tremulous, brave. Yes, you impossible man. Love. I've been in love with you since you walked into that warehouse like I was worth saving. I'm not. You are. She interrupted. Scary and safe, dangerous and kind, a walking contradiction that makes perfect sense. And I love you. Sofia loves you. We see who you're becoming, not just who you were. Dante? Sofia's voice came from the doorway. She stood in planet pajamas, holding her stuffed bear. Are you leaving? His heart cracked. No, kid. I'm not leaving. Good. Sofia patted over, wrapped her arms around his waist. Because you're ours now. Mama said so. And we don't give back what's ours. Elena laughed, watery and real. That's not exactly what I said. It's what you meant. Sofia looked up at Dante with those wise eyes. You're going to marry Mama, right? Like I said you would? Sofia, Elena warned. But Dante was already kneeling to Sofia's eye level. Yeah, kid. You were right. If your mama will have me. Sofia squealed, launching herself at him with enough force to nearly knock him over. Over her head, Dante met Elena's eyes, saw tears, joy, fear, hope all tangled together. "That's not a proper proposal," Elena said, but she was smiling. "I'll do it properly later. With rings and all the things you deserve." Dante stood, Sofia still clinging to him, and crossed to Elena. "But right now, I need to know. Can you really see a future with someone like me?" Elena cupped his face in her hands. "I see a future with someone exactly like you. Flawed and fighting to be better. Dangerous when necessary, gentle when possible. Human." "I love you," Dante said, the words feeling new and ancient. "Both of you. I don't know how to do this, the family thing, the normal life, but I want to learn. Then we'll learn together." Elena kissed him, soft and sweet and full of promises they'd spend years keeping. Sofia made gagging noises, breaking them apart laughing. Later, after Sofia had gone to bed and the penthouse settled into quiet, Elena and Dante stood at the windows overlooking Portland. The city glittered below, full of possibility and danger. "No regrets?" Elena asked, leaning against him. Dante thought about his old life, the power, the fear, the isolation. Then about pancakes and drawings and a 7-year-old who'd called him hers without hesitation. "None," he said. For the first time in 20 years, absolutely none. Somewhere in the night, in a life he was building brick by brick, Dante Moretti, former Mafia boss, current fiancé, future stepfather, finally understood redemption. It wasn't erasing who you'd been. It was choosing who you'd become. The end. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is accept love we think we don't deserve. Has someone ever believed in you when you didn't believe in yourself? Share your story in the comments below.